It was supposed to be a quiet Sunday afternoon on my ranch, the kind where the sun sets slow, the wind brushes gently over the tall grass, and the only sounds you hear are the birds, the creaking of the old windmill, and the hum of your own peace. But then came Karen, and in just under 36 seconds, she turned that peace into pure chaos and got a shocking surprise when K9 units rolled in faster than she could scream, "I have rights." Now, before we dive into what happened, let me set the scene. I live about 20 miles outside a town that recently saw a huge surge in suburban development. All that expansion brought with it a bunch of HOA-run neighborhoods packed full of people who'd never even seen a cow up close, suddenly wanting to enforce rules beyond their jurisdiction. My property isn't part of any HOA. It's a 27-acre ranch, fully fenced, fully legal, and fully mine. I have cameras, private security signs, and even an automated steel gate at the entrance for safety. Enter Karen. She moved into one of the cookie-cutter houses about a half-mile down the main road. I noticed her a few times jogging past the edge of my land, always glaring in. I didn't think much of it until I caught her one day, leaning over my fence, snapping photos of my livestock, and muttering about animal violations. Mind you, these are well-cared-for horses and cattle that have been here longer than her entire HOA has existed. But things escalated fast. Last week, I installed a new automated keypad system on my front ranch gate. It required a code to enter, had a built-in camera, and sent me real-time alerts. I installed it for my safety, my animal safety, and because we'd had a couple of attempted trespasses in recent months. And then, one afternoon, I get the alert. Unauthorized access attempt detected. I pulled up the live feed, and there she was, Karen, hoodie on, hunched over the keypad, furiously tapping buttons like she was trying to crack a safe in a spy movie. I watched in disbelief as she hacked at my gate's wiring with a screwdriver. She literally tried to pry open the control box. I was stunned, but not frozen. Within seconds, I opened my security app and triggered the emergency alarm. That not only sent an alert to me, but also to our county sheriff's department and a special K9 unit that patrols our rural areas. I also have a direct connection to law enforcement, not because I'm some VIP, but because I volunteer part-time with local emergency services. And what Karen didn't know is that rural properties like mine qualify for rapid K9 dispatch response due to the risk of livestock theft. So what happened next? Exactly 36 seconds after I triggered the alarm, the first K9 unit was already on my road. The second arrived not even a minute later. You have never seen a concerned citizen flip their personality so fast in your life. But get this, she called 911 first. Yep, while she was literally hacking into my gate, she apparently realized the camera light had blinked red, and she panicked. She called 911 and told them she was locked out of her property and feared she was being illegally restrained by a neighbor. She said on a recorded line that she owned my ranch. She claimed to dispatchers that she was part of the HOA's Land Reassignment Committee and that I had installed a gate to block shared access. You can't make this stuff up. By the time the K9 units arrived, she was standing in front of the gate, arms in the air, like she was the one in danger. Two German shepherds barked warnings from the SUV windows as officers exited the vehicles. Karen went from brave intruder to confused old lady real fast. The lead deputy, a guy named McAllister, whom I've worked with during several search and rescue events, walked right up and asked, "Ma'am, what are you doing on private property?" Karen, voice trembling now, said, "This is our road. He locked me out. He's building things that violate HOA landscaping codes. I came to talk and got stuck outside the gate." McAllister raised an eyebrow. "Talk by breaking into his electrical box with a screwdriver?" She paused, then tried to spin it. "I thought it was stuck. I didn't know it was locked on purpose. These things happen. I was just trying to open it so we could speak neighbor to neighbor." That's when I pulled up in my ATV, full speed from the back pasture. As soon as she saw me, Karen's demeanor snapped again. You can't just gate off shared community land. This land isn't even yours. It's part of the old riverbed annex." Let me pause here and say, there was an annex about 40 years ago, but it was split up, sold, and properly deeded to private owners. I had the papers. The HOA had no claim. None. I held up my phone and said, "She's lying to dispatch. I have her on video tampering with my system. That's felony trespassing and attempted property damage." McAllister nodded. "We're already reviewing it. She's not just trespassing. She triggered a rural security system, tried to interfere with property controls, and made a false 911 call. Karen turned white. False? What? I was just reporting. You reported yourself as the owner of land that doesn't belong to you, he said flatly. That's misuse of emergency services. One of the officers called dispatch and confirmed the 911 recording was already flagged as potentially fraudulent due to GPS data not matching the address she gave. Add in the surveillance footage, the tool in her hand, and her multiple conflicting statements. They had everything they needed. The best part? While she was being cuffed, yes, cuffed, one of the canines sat calmly at her feet, just staring up like he was judging her entire existence. She said, "This is abuse. I'm a resident of this county." To which the officer said, "And this man is a property owner who followed all legal security protocol. You, on the other hand, broke into a gate system and lied to 911. I asked, "Is she being charged?" McCall attempted tampering with electronic property and misuse of emergency services. Turns out her HOA had nothing to do with the land. She was just convinced she was entitled to walk wherever she pleased because she lived nearby. She told officers she didn't like the look of a gate that large and assumed I was trying to block future development. Yes, because clearly the guy raising cattle in peace is out to get the suburbs. The aftermath? Karen was released pending charges. Her arrest made the local news, especially once the story broke that she'd lied on a 911 call. The HOA board, who had nothing to do with this, sent me a letter apologizing and confirming she acted alone. They said her behavior does not reflect community values. She was quietly removed from her committee positions and now rarely even walks past my ranch. I installed an additional camera facing the road, just in case. And now, the gate keypad greets everyone with a cheerful automated voice. "Smile, you're being recorded. Unauthorized access will be prosecuted." It's amazing how quiet Karen's been since then.